Hello, this is Taylor Elwood, your mad scientist and magical experimenter, and here's my cat Majestic, who you're getting to see me pet. He's one of 6 cats that I have. Today, I want to talk about the pop culture magic of Disney and some insights that I got from visiting Disneyland. Last week, I was away in Disneyland, and I was very excited to be going there. And one of the things that really stood out to me on a tour that they had about Walt Disney, they had this tour called Walking in Walt's Footsteps, was that you got a chance to really learn a bit about him and what his thoughts were for planning the actual experience of Walt Disney. And he was very methodical about it. You know, he had this very specific vision that he was going to create this land, if you will. Actually 6 lands that people could go into. There was Fantasyland, there was Adventureland, there was Frontierland, there was Tomorrowland. There were a couple of other things. And I think that what stood out to me is that he had these different stories. Some of these are classical stories that he had taken and Disneyfied, if you will. Some of these were original stories. What he was trying to do is he was trying to capture the imagination and streamline it and focus it. Now we see that happen a lot in pop culture, but I think it's fair to say that Disney was one of the pioneers, at least in terms of modern media, of doing that. And as I was there, I got a chance to see a couple of the parades, and what was fascinating about the parades is that you saw all this energy going into these parades, all of the people were there, and they were wired into the parades. They were connected to the characters. This was an experience they were having, and it was a carefully cultivated experience. And it wasn't just a carefully cultivated experience in the physical world, but it was a carefully cultivated experience in the metaphysical world. Now, whether the people working at Disney really planned for that, whether they even think about that, I don't know. They may or may not. But I can tell you that for me, just watching how people responded, watching the pop culture, spiritual egregores of the characters, the energies, the spirits, what have you, whatever you want to call it, I saw how an experience at Disneyland was really about feeding the pop culture spirit of Disney and really all the spirits that are grouped under Disney. And again, quite fascinating because here you have this experience and it's just brought to life by Disney and by these characters are brought to life. And for a little while, for the duration of the time you're in one of the parks there, you become a little kid again. That was the other thing that really stood out to me, is that people would go in there, you'd see these adults, and within minutes, the adult aspect of the adults would just shed away, and you would see the little child in them. You'd see the wonder, the awe, the whatever else. And again, I think that this is very purposely cultivated for a number of different reasons. I mean, I'm going to be brutally honest here. Disneyland is definitely it's capitalist heaven. I mean, people are incentivized to buy. And take that as you will. Um, I I think that, yeah, I mean, we can frown on that or whatever else, but it speaks to the fact that here people have created and cultivated this particular reality in order to really really suck people in, and for a little while you become part of that reality. You become part of that universe. And of course, there are differences. I mean, there are places where the people who work there are referred to as cast members. And, there's a backstage, and of course there's onstage, and onstage is everywhere where someone like myself is supposed to be, and backstage is everywhere where I'm not supposed to be, because that's where the cast members go. I get that, but even that in and of itself is a very pop culture magic oriented working in its own way, because you see this careful cultivation and streamlining and focusing of an experience so that when people go there, they get this experience and they are imprinted with it, and it becomes part of their consciousness, and that in turn then is fed back into the super consciousness that is Disney. So some fascinating concepts there to consider and mull over, and I'm going to be writing more about it in my blog, but I thought I would just share some initial thoughts and impressions that I've had, as I've had time to kind of process and think about the experience that I had the last week. So hey, thanks again and glad to be back. Take care and have a good day.